What up, big dog? How you living, gangster? This channel is becoming my favorite channel, bro. It's always some crazy shit going on. Today's episode, what is marriage? I think he's a lawyer. I've seen him somewhere. I'm curious to know. Let's do it.
What is marriage? Marriage is 4 words. Like, it's 4 words that I think is possibly the most beautiful thing you could say to another person. And that is, you're my favorite person.
Ain't he supposed to be I love you or something?
But what do people need to understand? What do they misunderstand about pulling the trigger and saying I do? What's the biggest mistake people are making?
I think the biggest mistake people are making are 2 mistakes that are happening simultaneously and are somewhat contradictory. The first one is they assume that if they marry someone, they'll change. Like, he drinks a lot, but if we get married, he'll cut it back.
He'll drink more.
Or he chases a lot of skirt and he's a bit of a Casanova.
Nah, you see, this is why I don't really react to shit like this, bro. Cause this shit sounds stupid as fuck to me. Yeah.
Married to change. She's like a little much of a party girl, but if we marry, she'll change. She's a little flighty and a little disorganized, but if we marry and we have a home together, she'll change. And that's just not how it works,
That's not.
Mistake. And it's gonna sound like a contradiction, is this is so great, it'll never change. This person will never change. We're fucking 5 times a day, and she loves giving me blowjobs, and he's so sweet to me, and he always tells me how beautiful I am, and he's and that'll never change. That's who he is. It's definitional as to who he is, so that's who he is, and he'll never change. And that, that's also a tremendous mistake. So, the dueling, conflicting reality people want to ignore is people will change, but they won't necessarily change in the ways you wanted them to change. So you're marrying the idea of this person and also the reality of this person and the future of this person, which, by the way, it's every marriage, every relationship's an ecosystem. When I say it's an ecosystem, I mean it's like an ecosystem. I mean, you take a forest and you drop a new kind of salamander in it. You don't have that forest plus salamanders. You have a whole new fucking forest. Because that salamander eats this bug, and that bug used to eat this plant, and now it doesn't, and that plant overruns, and it screws up the stream, and that kills the animal. So now you didn't even mean to, but you fucked the whole thing up. And then you go, oh, it was the salamander, let's take out the salamander. You don't have this new ecosystem less the salamander. You don't just go back to the old ecosystem, because now the plants have overrun, and now you have this whole other thing. So think about all the things happening in your life that affect your life, who you are, your mood, your sex drive, all of those things. Okay, you met this person, you love this person, you feel this deep connection to each other, we fall in love super fast. And now we're okay, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna sign up, this is it, we're getting married. But you're in an ecosystem, and there's all these things, these 1,000 natural shocks the flesh is heir to, things come. And I think people just couldn't possibly be ready for that. I think you just have to, some of it's luck.
Well, if we're being honest, isn't that the whole point of marriage? I get what he's saying. Things might have, maybe the person was bad, you married them thinking that they were gonna change, which is stupid, by the way. Or they were already good how they were, and you put in your head that they won't change, or better or worse. That's the whole point of it, bro. You make a vow to stay through thick and thin.
Some of it is what are the techniques we're gonna have to check in with each other, and people don't think about that in advance. I don't think people in advance really think at all about how are we going to move with this as the world moves and as these things we didn't expect come into play for us. I just don't think people give that much thought. The best description I ever heard of God, what is God, is that God is the name we give to a blanket we put over a mystery to give it shape. Like, we can't describe this thing because it has no shape, it's a mystery. So we put a blanket over it, and God's the name we give to the blanket that we put over this mystery to give it shape. Like, I think marriage is like that. Marriage is a wall that we build around this beautiful, warm we. You know, it was you and it was me, and then we became we. And like, we is so nice and warm and lovely that we're like, oh, like, this is so good. Like, let's make this last forever. So we'll put a wall around it. We'll put a wall around it, and we'll wear rings, and that'll tell everybody we're doing this thing. We've got this wall. And then the worst thing, like, I think the wall becomes the fucking problem.
All right, look, my bad for pausing a lot, but a thought just occurred to me, right? I get it, bro. Like, he's a divorce lawyer, so majority of example that he's seen about marriage has always been bad. But bro, I sell cars, and a few times that I've sold people cars, like these old couples, a lot of them being married for like, hey, 40 years, 50 years. So there is example of good marriage. The problem is, I think TV fucked us. You know, like, as a kid, you're watching movies and shit, and they talking about forever after. Reality is not like that. Unfortunately, a lot of us get wrapped up in the TV shit, and we be confusing. We consciously decide to ignore that reality is different than the TV. Hence why, just like he was saying, a lot of people, they see the bad in the person, but TV said eventually he's gonna turn good. He just needs something to get him out of that place. This is why there's so many fucking divorce, bro. Motherfuckers just, they see something that don't sit right with them, and they still go through it, hoping that the motherfucker don't change. Not knowing that when you walk into this shit called relationship, you have to be comfortable from the moment you walk in to the moment you get to marriage. You know what I'm saying? I would have never married my wife if I had any second thought, bro. Because if you're having second thought, that means something ain't right. You know what I mean? But for the sake of, there's different reasons, of course. People do it to show people that they're also married. People do it for trying to find a like happy ever after. Whatever fucking reason that they're doing it for, they intentionally disregarding one thing in the whole equation: themselves. And by the time they wake up and start thinking about themselves, you years deep into a marriage, kids, bank account shared, at that point you fucked up. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, bruh.
Because the wall makes you go, all right, we're good now. We got that. We got the wall. And the wall will protect us. Like, I don't know why we think that. Because the wall catastrophically fails 56% of the time, and then kind of fails another 20% beyond that. And people are unhappy but just stay together. So the wall fucking sucks. You know, but it's this illusion of control.
14% of people that are married that are actually happy. Fuck my life.
I think people desperately cling to, because I think the alternative is to say what we know to be true, which is there's so little you have control over, and there's so much shit you didn't see coming. You know, I still think
I disagree, bruh. I disagree. Bro, majority of them shits, you will see them coming, my nigga. What do you mean there's so much shit you didn't see coming? You met this nigga, he had a girlfriend. He started cheating on his girlfriend with you, and then left his girlfriend to be with you, asked you to marry him. You said yes, and then now you caught him cheating. What the fuck you mean you didn't see it coming? You always see this shit coming. You always will, bro. You just choose to not believe it, but you will. You do. Yes, the fuck you do.
As I've said before, that the solution to that is just like building in as a feature, not a bug, like building in this constant checking in of like, hey, how are we doing? What's going on? Like, what feels good? What can we do better? Constant. Because what does that take, 10 minutes a week? Like, if you don't have 10 minutes a week to devote to that, don't get fucking married.
My dad was giving me a hard time about not watching the news enough. Karma, an app, and even most differently they
If you don't have 10 minutes to speak to that person, don't get married, bro.
to you.
There's that, you know, there's a, or like you need at least a few hours then, you know, there's a story, I don't know if it's true or not, that the Dalai Lama was talking to a businessman, like a CEO, and
You hear them in the background. That's my favorite shit. This is why I haven't been uploading as much, bro. I do love making videos, but I love spending time with my family even more.
the CEO said, you know, I really want more inner peace. And he said, well, you should meditate for 15 minutes a day. And he said, well, I don't have 15 minutes a day to meditate. And he said, oh, then you should definitely meditate for an hour. You know, and I think it's the same thing. If you don't have 10 minutes a week to just like say to your spouse or your romantic partner, hey, what did I like? Tell me 3 things I did right this week. Tell me 3 times I made you feel loved this week. Tell me 3 times this week that you wanted to fuck me. What was I doing? Like, what was I doing? You know, when you wanted to fuck me. And what's funny is like for guys, I think the answer would be like, oh, you were like bending over to pick up that sock, you know, like, or you like leaned forward and or you got out of the shower and I got to see your boobs, you know. With women, it would be the weirdest shit that you never saw coming. It would be like, oh, you were really nice to my sister in that conversation and it made me want to fuck you. Or it was like, you know, it's some random thing, you know, that you're like, really? Like I work in an office, there's a lot of women in it. Sometimes I'll be eating lunch in the conference room. They don't know I'm in there. I can hear them, you know, talking to each other freely as women do when there's no men around. It's like, I feel like Margaret Mead, like watching the Yanomamo tribe, like, and the shit they say, I'm like, really? Like, what the fuck have I been working on my abs for? Like the shit they find attractive is so weird. Like, yeah, abs are whatever, being good looking is important, but like the shit that they get turned on by, the shit guys do that makes them like kind of get swoony, it's, you wouldn't expect it.
I see guys at the gym, but you and I both probably work out every morning, right?
Every
Over our
morning,
lives.
yeah.
And I see guys at the gym working on their abs and working on this and trying to get this way or that way. And women rarely want that.
You know, I think they see it like it's like icing on the cake. Like it's like if you have an emotional vocabulary and you're a good provider and you're stable and reliable and consistent and you've got abs, like that's icing on the cake.
Where.
Like, you know, a woman who's like kind and nurturing and sweet and beautiful and has no gag reflex. That's great. Like, it's great. But you know what? That last
Makes sense. Yeah, we're facts.
You know, it's the same thing. It's abs. It's like, oh, that's really cool. But if you didn't, like, I could live without that one. Like, you couldn't say all things are not equal. You know, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. You know? And what's the main thing? Like, because that's the part that I think is so funny, that love is... Love and marriage. I mean, I separate love and marriage so much, you know that. Like, marriage is like, I don't think they even correlate. But, like, love between 2 people, you know, like a committed pair bond between 2 people. Which, by the way, like, the 2 maybe happy married couples I know, I feel like if they didn't get the state involved, they'd still just be just as happy as they are. Like, I don't think that it's like the governmental status of marriage is the thing. They're in love with each other. They love each other. Like, love's a verb. They love each other and they love each other.
Rule number 1. From what I've seen around me, the very first thing I've understood about love is that in order for you to love someone, you have to love yourself first. If you don't love yourself, if you don't care for yourself, how can you love and care for somebody else? You see what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta know yourself first, bro. Because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you like, you don't know what you'll tolerate. So it's recipe for disaster. That's what it is.
Treat each other with love and they feel love towards each other. And I think love is simplicity and complexity at the exact same time. Yes. But like, we get so fucking caught up in the complexity that we lose the simplicity, which is so weird because so few other things in the world is it like that. Like most things, we get so bogged down in this simplicity that we lose all the complexity and we don't get it. Love's the opposite. Like we're so into this complexity. Like it's this, but it's not this, but does he do this, but she does that. Like we get so caught up in it. When at the end of the day, like what is marriage? Marriage is 4 words. Like it's 4 words that I think is possibly the most beautiful thing you could say to another person. And that is, you're my favorite person. Like you're my favorite person. Like is there anything that would be nicer to hear and it's meant than that? And is there anything you could say to another person and mean that would be nicer than that? You're my favorite person. Like my son now, who's 28, when he was like 4, we were doing something, father-son little thing. We were like playing and doing something. And I remember he like looked at me like with this big grin and he went, "You're my favorite person." And I just remember thinking, Jesus, he means that. Like he means that. Like I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it now, 20-something years later, because it was like the nicest thing anyone had ever said to me in my whole life. Like, and he meant it, And I said, he means that. Like I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it now, 20-something years later, because it was like the nicest thing anyone had ever said to me.
Yeah, bro. I'm not gonna keep it too long, cause past like 15 minutes you start to lose people. But yeah, this one was smooth. If I get about 20 likes on this video, maybe I'll do a part 2. If you stuck through the end, at least leave a comment, bro. It could be 1 word. Shit, put a dot in this motherfucker. I don't care, bro. If you seen these videos, show some love, bro. I'm trying to get the channel to grow. Besides that, go stream my song. It's out everywhere. HDM, Henny Got Me, Harmon Melody. Goodbye.
These days I got a lot to carry, and I am doing so happily. I think I finally broke that cycle. You're riding my shit like a bicycle. Follow wherever you're going, I'm your disciple. I'm about to get it, is my recital.